was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. There were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He possessed 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, and very many servants, so that this man was the greatest of all the people of the east. His sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and consecrate them. And he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said,
"It may be that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts."
Thus Job did continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan,
"From where have you come?"
Then Satan answered the Lord and said,
"From here and there on the earth, and from up and down on it."
And the Lord said to Satan,
"Have you considered my servant Job, that there's none like him on the earth, blameless and upright man, who fears God and shuns evil?"
Then Satan answered the Lord and said,
"Does Job fear God for no reason? Have you not put a hedge around him, and on every side of his house? You have blessed the work of his hands, and the possessions that he has increased in the land. Stretch forth your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to you."
And the Lord said to Satan,
"Behold, all that he has is in your hand. Only against him do not stretch out your hand."
So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. There was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And there came a messenger to Job and said,
"The oxen were plowing and the donkeys beside them, and the Sabians fell upon them and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you."
While he was yet speaking, there came another and said,
"The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you."
While he was yet speaking, there came another and said,
"The Chaldeans formed 3 groups and made a raid on the camels and took them and struck down the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you."
While he was yet speaking, there came another and said,
"Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young people, and they are all dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you."
Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. And he said,
"Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord."
In all this, Job did not sin or charge God with wrong. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said to Satan,
"From where have you come?" Satan
answered the Lord and said,
"From to and fro, and from up and down on the earth."
And the Lord said to Satan,
"Have you considered my servant Job, that there's none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and turns away from evil? He still holds fast to his integrity, although you incited me against him to destroy him without reason."
Then Satan answered the Lord and said,
"Skin for skin, all that man possesses he will give for his life. But you stretch out your hand and touch his flesh and bone, and he'll curse you to your face."
And the Lord said to Satan,
"Behold, he is in your hand, just do not take his life."
So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with loathsome sores from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. And he took a piece of broken pottery with which to scrape himself while he sat in the ashes. Then his wife said to him,
"Do you still hold fast your integrity? Curse God and die."
But he said to her,
You speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God, and shall we not receive evil?
In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that had come upon him, they came each from his own place: Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. They made an appointment together to come show him sympathy and comfort him. And when they saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him. And they raised their voices and wept, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads towards heaven. And they sat with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. And Job said,
Let the day perish on which I was born, and the night that said, A man is conceived. Let that day be darkness. May God above not seek it, nor light shine upon it. Why did I not die at birth, come out from the womb and expire? Why did the knees receive me? Why the breast that I should nurse? For then I would have laid down and been quiet. I would have slept, then I would have been at rest. Why is the light given to him? Who is in misery, and life to the bitter soul? For my sightings comes instead of my bread, and my groanings are poured out like water. For the thing that I fear comes upon me, for what I dread befalls me. I'm not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, but trouble comes.
Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said,
Should a wise man answer with windy knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? Should he argue in unprofitable talk and in words with which he can do no good? You are doing away with the fear of God and hindering meditation before God. For your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Your own lips testify against you.
Then Job answered and said,
I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are you all. I also could speak as you do, if you were in my place. I could join words together against you, shake my head at you. But my mouth would encourage you. Comfort from my lips would bring you relief.
Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said,
How long are you going to hunt for words? Consider, and then we'll speak. Why are we counted as cattle? Why are we stupid in your sight? You who tear yourself in anger, shall the earth be forsaken for you? Or the rock be removed out of its place?
Then Job answered and said,
How long will you torment me and break me in pieces with words? These 10 times you have cast reproach upon me. Are you not ashamed to wrong me?
Then Zophar the Naamathite answered and said,
I hear censure that insults me, and out of my understanding a spirit answers me. Do you not know this from of old, since man was placed on earth, that the exulting of the wicked is short and the joy of godless but for a moment? Though his height mount up to the heavens and his head reach to the clouds, he will perish forever like his own dung. Those who have seen him will say, Where is he?
Then Job answered and said,
Bear with me, and I will speak, and after I have spoken, mock on. Why do the wicked live and reach old age and grow mighty in power? Their offspring are established in their presence, and in their descendants before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, with no rod of God upon them. They spend their days in prosperity, and in peace they go down to Sheol. They say to God, Depart from us. We do not desire the knowledge of your ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him and profit what we get if we pray to him? How often is it that the lamp of the wicked is put out, that their calamity comes upon them, that God distributes pain in his anger?
Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said,
Is not your evil abundant? There is no end to your iniquities, for you have exacted pledges from your brothers for nothing and stripped naked of their clothing. You have given no water to the weary to drink, and you have held bread from the hungry. You have sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless were crushed. Therefore snares are all around you, and sudden terror overwhelms you. Agree with God and be at peace. Thereby good will come to you. If you return to the Almighty, you will be built up if you remove injustice far from your tents.
Then Job answered and said,
Today also my complaint is bitter. My hand is heavy on account of my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would lay my case before him, fill my mouth with arguments. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there. Backward, but I do not perceive him. My foot hold fast to his steps. I have kept his way and have not turned aside. I have not departed from the commands of his lips. I have treasured the words of his mouth more than my portion of food. He is unchangeable. Who can turn him back? What he desires, that he does. For he will complete what he appoints for me. And many such things are in his mind. Therefore I am terrified at his presence. When I consider, I am in dread of him. God has made my heart faint. The Almighty has terrified me. Yet I am not silenced because of the darkness, nor because thick darkness covers my face.
Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said,
Dominion and fear are with God. He makes peace in his high heaven. How then can man be in the right before God? How can he who is born of a woman be pure? Behold, even the moon is not bright, and the stars are not pure in his eyes. How much less man who is a maggot, and the son of man who is a worm.
Then Job answered and said,
How you have helped him who has no power. How you have saved the arm that has no strength. How you have counseled him who has no wisdom, and plentiful declared sound knowledge. He stretches out the north over the void, hangs the earth on nothing. He binds up the waters in thick clouds, and the clouds not split open under them. He covers the face of the moon, and spreads over in its clouds. By his power he stilled the sea. By his understanding he shattered Rahab. By his wind the heavens were made fair. His hand pierced the fleeing serpent. Behold, these are but the outskirts of his ways, and how small a whisper do we hear him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand?
And Job again took up his discourse and said,
As God lives, who has taken away my right, and the Almighty, who has made my soul bitter, as long as my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils, my lips will not speak falsehood, and my tongue will not utter deceit. Far be it from me to say that you are right. Till I die, I will not put away my integrity from me. I hold fast my righteousness and will not let it go. My heart does not reproach for me any of my days. Surely there is a mine for silver, and a place for gold that they refine. Iron is taken of the earth, and copper is smelted from the ore. Man puts an end to darkness and searches out to the furthest limit, the ore in gloom and deep darkness. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its worth, and it is not found in the land of the living. The deep says, it's not in me. The sea says, it's not with me. It cannot be bought for gold, and silver cannot be weighed as its price. From where then does wisdom come? And where is the place of understanding? It is hidden from the eyes of all living, and concealed from the birds of the air. Abaddon and death say, we have heard a rumor of it with our ears. God understands the way to it, and he knows its place. And he said to man, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding.
And Job again took up his discourse and said,
Oh, that I were as in the months of old, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone upon my head, and by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in my prime, when the friendship of God was upon my tent, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were all around me. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me, My justice was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes to the blind, feet to the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I searched out the cause of him whom I did not know. But now they laugh at me, men who are younger than I. And now I have become their song. I am a byword to them. They abhor me. They keep me aloft from me. They do not hesitate to spit at the sight of me. And now my soul is poured out within me. Days of affliction have taken a hold of me. The night racks my bones, and the pain gnaws at me with no rest. God has cast me into the mire. I've become like dust and ashes. I cry for help. You do not answer me. I stand. You only look at me. You have turned cruel to me. With the might of your hand, you persecute me. For I know that you will bring me to death in the house appointed for all the living. Yet does not one in a heap of ruins stretch out his hand and cry in his disaster for help? But when I hoped for good, evil came. And when I waited for light, darkness came. My inward parts are in turmoil, never still. Days of affliction come to meet me. My lyres turn to mourning, and my pipe to the voice of those who weep. If I have walked with falsehood, and my foot has hastened to deceit, let me be weighed in a just balance, and let God know my integrity. If my step has turned aside from the way, and my heart has gone after my eyes, and if any spot has stuck to my hands, then let me sow, and let another eat. And let what grows for me be rooted out. If my heart has been enticed towards a woman, and if I have ever laid in wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife turn the millstone for another man, and may another man commit adultery with her. If I have rejected the cause of my manservant, or my maidservant, when they brought a complaint against me, if I have withheld anything that the poor desired, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel alone, and the fatherless has not eaten of it. If I have seen anyone perish for lack of clothing, or the needy without covering, then let my arm fall from the shoulder, and let my arm be broken off at the socket. If I have made gold my trust, or called the fine gold my confidence, then this also would be iniquity to be judged, for I would have been false to God above. If I have rejoiced at the ruin of him who hated me, or exulted when evil overtook him, I have not even permitted my mouth to sin by asking for his life through a curse. If my land has cried out against me, and its furrows have wept together, if I have eaten its yield without payment, and made its owners breathe their last, and then let thorns grow instead of wheat, and foul weeds instead of barley.
The words of Job are ended.
So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite of the family of Ram, burned with anger. He burned with anger at Job because he justified himself rather than God. He burned with anger also at Job's three friends because they had found no answer, although they had declared Job to be in the wrong. Now Elihu had waited to speak to Job because they were older than he. And when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, he burned with anger. And Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, answered and said,
I am young in years, and you are aged. Therefore I was timid to declare my opinion to you. But it is the spirit in man, the breath of the Almighty, that makes him understand. It is not the old who are wise, nor the aged who understand what is right. Therefore I say, listen to me, and let me declare my opinion. You say, I am pure without transgression. I am clean, and there is no iniquity in me. Behold, in this you are not right. I will answer you, for God is greater than man. Why do you contend against him, saying, he will answer none of man's words? For God speaks in one way and in two, though man does not perceive it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, man is also rebuked with pain in his bed, and continual strife in his bones. If there is an angel for him, a mediator, one of the 1,000, to declare to man what is right for him, Behold, God does all these things twice, 3 times for a man, to bring his soul back from the pit, that he may be lighted with the light of life. Pay attention, O Job, listen to me. Be silent and I will speak. If you have any words, answer me. Speak, for I desire to justify you. If not, listen to me, and be silent, and I will teach you wisdom.
Then Elihu answered and said,
Therefore, hear me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should do wrong. For according to the work of man he will repay him, and according to his ways he will make it befall him. Of a truth, God will not do wickedly, and the Almighty will not pervert justice.
And Elihu answered and said,
Surely God does not hear an empty cry, nor does the Almighty regard it. How much less when you say that you do not see him, that the case is before him, and you are waiting for him. And now, because his anger does not punish, and he does not take much note of transgression, Job opens his mouth with empty talk. He multiplies his words without knowledge.
And Elihu continued and said,
Bear with me a little, and I will show you, for I have yet something to say on God's behalf. Behold, God is almighty, and does not despise any. He is mighty in his strength of understanding. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives the afflicted their right. He does not withdraw his eyes from the righteous. Hear this, O Job. Stop and consider the wondrous works of God. Do you know how God lays his commands upon them and causes the lightning of the cloud to shine? Do you know the balancings of the clouds and the wondrous works of him who is perfect in knowledge? Can you, like him, spread out the skies hard as a cast metal mirror? The Almighty, we cannot find him. He is great in power, justice, and abundant in righteousness. He will not violate. Therefore men fear him. He does not regard any who are wise in their own conceit.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said,
Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Dress for action like a man, and I will question you, and you will make it known to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Have you commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place? Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Or have you seen the gates of the deep darkness? Have you comprehended the expanse of the earth? Declare if you know all this. Have you entered into the storehouses of snow? Or have you seen the storehouses of hail? What is the way to the place where the light is distributed? Or where the east wind is scattered upon the earth? Who has left the cleft in the channel for the torrents of rain, and the way for the thunderbolt? Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the cords of Orion? Do you know when the mountain goats give birth, or do you observe the calving of the does? Can you number the months that they fulfill, and do you know the time when they will give birth? Do you give the horse his might? Do you clothe his neck with a mane? Is it by your understanding that the hawk soars and spreads his wing towards the south? Is it at your command that the eagle mounts up and makes his nest on high?
And the Lord said to Job,
Shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer.
Then Job answered the Lord and said,
Behold, I am of small account. What shall I answer you? I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once. I will not answer twice, but I will proceed no further.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said,
Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you will make it known to me. Will you even put me in the wrong? Will you condemn me, that you may be in the right? Have you an arm like God, and can you thunder with a voice like his? Adorn yourself with majesty and dignity. Clothe yourself with glory and splendor. Unleash the fury of your wrath. Look at all who are proud and bring them low. Look at all who are proud and humble them. Crush the wicked where they stand. Bury them all in the dust together. Shroud their faces in the grave. Then I will also acknowledge you, that your own right hand can save you. Now look at Behemoth, which I have made as I have made you. It eats grass like an ox. Can anyone catch it by its eyes or pierce its nose with a snare? Can you pull a leviathan with a hook and tie down its tongue with a rope? Out of its mouth goes flames, sparks of fire shoot forth. The likes of it is not on earth, a creature without fear. It looks on every haughty being and is king over all that are proud.
Then Job answered the Lord and said,
I know you know that you can do all things, and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Who is this that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have uttered what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me which I did not know. Hear, and I will speak. I will question you, and you make it known to me. I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes.
After the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite,
My anger burns against you and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. Now, therefore take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up a burnt offering for yourselves. And my servant Job shall pray for you, for I will accept his prayer, not to deal with you according to your folly. For you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has.
So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did what the Lord had told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends. And the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came to him all his brothers and sisters and all who had known him before, and ate bread with him in his house. And they showed him sympathy and comforted him for all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. And each of them gave him a piece of money and a ring of gold. And the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. And he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camel, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first daughter Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen-Happuch. And in all the land there were no women so beautiful as Job's daughters. And their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. And after this Job lived 140 years and saw his sons and his sons' sons 4 generations. And Job died, an old man and full of days.